ASMR Magical Tools. Hello. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. So, I happened to find this beautiful brass incense burner when I was visiting my parents in Atlanta this past week. It was only $1. So I'm going to burn a little bit of this incense, which is precious amber. And I wanted to say a big thank you to all of you who have been leaving such nice comments on all my videos. Your support means so much to me. So from the very bottom of my heart, thank you, thank you, thank you for the kind words. I don't always reply in the comments because I feel like I do quite enough talking as it is in the videos. And just set your intention. Let the fire consume anything that you don't want to carry into the week ahead. Looks so magical. So, also when I was in Atlanta, I did pick up what is considered to be more like a proper scrying sphere. And I'll be using that for this video. I've already been getting very astounding results from it. I think that it's good to practice with a variety of materials because then when you return to something that is a very standard classic for the medium. You're able to get a very full range of experience with it. It's like, even if you drive an automatic transmission vehicle, it's good to know how to drive a manual, right? So let's get started talking about the ephemera for the week ahead. This is going to be Monday the 19th through Sunday the 25th of July. And we're going to be starting with the moon in Scorpio, and then by Sunday the 25th, the moon will be entering Pisces. Over the course of this week, we will have a full moon in Aquarius on Friday the 23rd. So on Monday the 19th, the moon in Scorpio is going to be trine Neptune in Pisces. And this trine is going to be happening very early in the morning. This is a very watery trine, very good for revealing secrets within dream states. And mostly a very introverted sort of a time. Most of you will probably be asleep, but some of you who are very early risers on the East Coast might be tapping into this energy with your conscious mind rather than your unconscious dream states. The moon in Scorpio is next going to square Mars in Leo. And that's going to be a little bit later after that first placement. On the West Coast, it's going to be around 3:15 in the morning. And on the East Coast, it's going to be around 6:15 a.m. And this particular placement is going to be creating tension between your drive toward creation and things that are hidden, that have not yet been revealed. This is going to start a opportune period for Monday the 19th, and it's going to be a very long opportune period. So it looks like a good 6 hours from 3 in the morning until like 9:30 on the West Coast, and 6:15 to 12:30 noon on the on the East Coast. Sorry. And this opportune period will end with the moon in Scorpio, of course, being void of course, and also trine the sun in Cancer right before it goes into Sagittarius. And this opportune period is going to be good for constructive action and precision. So anything that you need to make clear-cut movement in, planning, this would be a good time for planning. Would be a good time for working on projects that require precision, so like electronics, possibly mathematics, anything like that. Around 6:40 in the morning on the West Coast, that's 9:40 on the East Coast, and this is, of course, in the United States, wherever you live, the timing will be different. The moon in Scorpio is going to sextile Pluto in Capricorn, which is, of course, retrograde at this time. I also didn't mention the very first placement of the day. Neptune is retrograde also. We do have quite a few retrogrades. We've got Neptune is retrograde, Pluto, Chiron, Jupiter, and Saturn. But not Mercury right now. So this sextile, of course, we've been talking a lot about Pluto in Capricorn, and also Pluto in Capricorn retrograde, because it was also retrograde last year. And this has caused a lot of confusion for people and a lot of turmoil as far as jobs are concerned and career. It can be good. Volatility can be good in certain careers, which is, Bitcoin has taken off quite a bit. But it can also be detrimental. The moon in Scorpio is all things hidden, secrets. So perhaps there are secrets that either you're able to tap into this information and it helps you out, or that in some way this is going to augment your ability to move forward in the current climate. So also around this time, around 6:50 in the morning, the moon is going to be entering the 19th lunar mansion, which is good for army strategy and increase of crops. It is not good for liberation and shipping. It is good for magical safeguard and also for contraception. So if you are trying to avoid having children, this is a good day to do contraception work. After this, Mercury, which is in Cancer, is going to square Chiron in Aries. And as I mentioned, Chiron is retrograde. Mercury in Cancer can be a hashing out between two people type communication, where perhaps there are aspects of emotional states that need to be worked out between people. Cancer is not more intuitively inclined, but is very emotionally inclined. And so sometimes there's a proclivity for projection there that has to be overcome through communication. So Mercury in Cancer will be good for that. And the square with Chiron in Aries. So Chiron in Aries is all about working on these parts of the self that are too self-occupied, and possibly impatient, so starting things and not finishing them. The next placement, this again will be in the morning, and it will be within the scope of this opportune period also. There's going to be a square between the moon in Scorpio and Venus in Leo. So remember, it was this past week, Monday, where the moon and Venus and Mars were very close together. And then on Tuesday, we had the actual conjunction between Venus and Mars. So we're still very much looking at all of these energies interacting with each other. At that time, the moon was in Leo, and at this time, the moon being in Scorpio, we are dealing with, again, hidden things. So moon in Leo being a little more illuminating, more creatively inclined, and the moon in Scorpio being very secretive, very dark, very obscuring. So this Venus in Leo energy, there could be a desire to express oneself romantically or creatively, which is being, there's tension created with that square with the moon in Scorpio, where because things are unclear, you might be hesitant to put yourself out there in the same way. We did talk a little bit about when the moon goes void, of course, in Scorpio, that it will be trine the sun in Cancer. And this sun in Cancer, again, is going to be illuminating all of these issues of people's emotional interactions with each other, the way that there is emotional reciprocity between two people. And this moon in Scorpio, things are kind of unclear, but because it's a trine, it could be very favorable for everyone involved. It's a lot of watery energy. So if you have water in your chart, prominently, you could tap into this particular placement very well. Around 2 in the afternoon or 5 in the evening, depending on, again, if you live on one of the coasts of the United States, the moon is going to enter Sagittarius. And Sagittarius looks like this. I think sometimes when I trace them on the screen, they're a little bit backward, but it should be okay. I think you know what I'm talking about. So when the moon enters Sagittarius, it's going to square Jupiter in Pisces, which is retrograde at this time. This Jupiter is one of the archaic rulers of the sign of Pisces. In the modern lexicon, of course, Neptune is the ruler of Pisces. But we look at the energies in Pisces right now. We've got Neptune, which is retrograde. We've got Jupiter, which is retrograde. And they are fairly harmonious to each other. You're not looking at a situation where, like with Mercury and Saturn, these two energies are kind of antithetical or opposed to each other. Jupiterian energy, wealth and expansion. Neptunian energy does have to do with tuning into your higher power and your intuition. So it is excellent for psychic growth, if that's something you're working on right now. This square with the moon in Sagittarius is going to create tension. But you look at what the placement actually is. So Sagittarius also has to do a bit with expansion and pushing toward the higher self. The tightrope. If you're familiar with Nietzsche and Thus Spake Zarathustra, you remember the scene with the tightrope. I'm kind of obsessed with that book, so I'm surprised I don't bring it up more often. But the scene where they're talking about the tightrope between apes and supermen, and that man is that tightrope. And that's kind of the journey of Sagittarius as well, that you are traversing this beam to your higher self. And so this incorporates things like higher education, it incorporates travel, long distance travel, seeing the world, exposing yourself to new things, and aspects of spirituality, mostly as it relates to more organized forms of religions, cults, etc. So it's going to create tension, but it's not necessarily going to be a difficult placement. It's going to challenge you to become a better version of yourself. So now it's time to talk about Tuesday. Tuesday. Tuesday, July 20th. Starting early in the morning with a sextile between Mercury in Cancer and Uranus in Taurus. And we've talked quite a bit about this Uranus in Taurus energy and how it is reconciling a lot of these things where large groups of people are all seeking stability. And it can be a little difficult to navigate that because each person's stability is going to look slightly different. But overall, there are definitely things that can be done to help us all achieve a comfortable lifestyle. So this sextile with Mercury in Cancer, people being able to hash out these emotional discussions is going to aid that quite a bit. Now, because this is going to be so early in the morning in the United States, it's possible that this has to do with foreign policy, but can of course have to do with people who are just up at that time. Can be something that comes to you in a dream state as well. Around 4:13 in the morning, and because these are the lunar mansions, there's not necessarily like a time zone, I don't think, because it's the moon. So whatever your relation to the moon is. Let's see. It's listed as Greenwich Mean Time. I'm going to work it in at whatever the time is for now. So it's saying at 4:13 in the morning, Greenwich Mean Time, we're going to be entering the 20th lunar mansion. So this is good for taming of aggressive forces, success in asking questions about your goals, and bringing good people together and also binding enemies. So bringing people together in partnerships, but then also like if there is someone who's causing trouble for you, causing them to be tied down. Around 8:30 in the morning on the West Coast, 11:30 in the morning on the East Coast, we have a sextile between the moon in Sagittarius and Saturn in Aquarius, which is, of course, retrograde at this time, right? So one thing about Saturn in Aquarius is that it is not just... Oh, my incense is all finished. not just related to these shifts in status quo and Saturn being the archaic ruler of Aquarius. We can also even tie in some geomancy, in that both the planet Saturn and the sign of Aquarius are tied to the geomantic symbol Tristitia, which has to do with decrease, sadness, depression. Now, that can be less advantageous for some things, but it can actually be beneficial for other things. So if this is something that you want to be lower, if you want something to be lower, like an interest payment, for example, or inflation or things like that, it can be beneficial for those things. Now, are we seeing the effects of that directly right now? No, we are not. We are seeing a decrease across the board in supply, which is driving prices up, and all of the things associated with that. But with this moon in Sagittarius, it is an opportunity for all of us to improve our own selves in the context of challenges to the status quo. The next thing we're looking at here is a trine between the moon in Sagittarius and Chiron in Aries, which is also retrograde. So working on the parts of the self which are impatient and possibly selfish. That's going to be closer to the middle of the day. In the afternoon, that moon in Sagittarius is going to be quincunx Uranus in Taurus. So that quincunx is going to drive action. Remember very early in the morning, we had that sextile with Mercury in Cancer. So some of the emotional aspects of these things getting hashed out. And then with this quincunx, with the moon in Sagittarius, people taking action for their betterment. And finally, the moon in Sagittarius is going to quincunx Mercury in Cancer. And that's going to be a little bit later in the afternoon. So these two things are going to happen roughly an hour and 40 minutes apart. But they are very closely associated with each other energetically, and also with that sextile which had happened earlier in the morning. So there could be a lot of action taken in the afternoon by people who are improving themselves as far as reaching toward the higher self, not necessarily improving their status or financial situations. This is about improving your spiritual self in the context of creating more comfort for the people around you and for yourself, and also hashing out this communication about what people are feeling. So now let's look at Wednesday, July 21st. Wednesday, July 21st. July 21st. And we do have a couple of lunar mansions associated with this day. So far it's pretty much been going along with the day itself. And now we're getting into, it's kind of shifting around a little bit. So firstly, in the morning, this is going to be a little closer to the middle of the morning. There's a square between the moon in Sagittarius and Neptune retrograde in Pisces. Now, all of these energies are going to be very beneficial to improving your own psychic awareness and abilities and really honing those aspects of yourself, especially as it relates to your higher power and your relationship to your spirituality. It is a square, but that doesn't mean that it's going to be negative. It just means that it's going to create tension, which will drive change. Next, we have, it's the beginning of an opportune period, and it's also a fire trine between Moon in Sagittarius and Mars in Leo. And this is going to be excellent for driving creative energy as far as your spiritual practices are concerned. The beginning of this opportune period, and then the end being when the moon enters Capricorn, which will occur later in the afternoon. So this is going to be 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3. It's about 8.5 hours long. So going to start around 7 in the morning on the west coast and around 10 in the morning on the east coast, and go until the middle of the afternoon or evening. And this is setting you up to succeed at anything that you will be attempting, whether that's arts, finance, romance, you name it. This is going to be a great day to take advantage of this opportunity. So the lunar mansions that we will have at play, the first one is going to be the 21st lunar mansion, and that's going to start around 1:30 a.m. Greenwich Mean Time. So that's like the standard time. You'll have to adjust for your local. And that has to do with conflict and division, and also two-facedness. And this is kind of like the tail end of Moon in Sagittarius going into Moon in Capricorn. So you can kind of see where that fits into the linear narrative. In the middle of the afternoon, so this is going to be toward the tail end of the opportune period also, the moon in Sagittarius is going to be quincunx the sun in Cancer. And toward the end of, or in the afternoon of Tuesday the 20th, we talked a lot about these quincunxes with moon in Sagittarius and Uranus in Taurus, and also Mercury in Cancer. So now that we have the sun in Cancer, quincunx, moon in Sagittarius, that is going to be kind of finishing out all of those issues, and probably associated with a lot of the same themes in your life. So anything that was going on in the afternoon of Tuesday the 20th regarding trying to obtain security for larger groups of people, and also communication about people's emotions, and how that relates to elevation of your higher self, that might come back up again the afternoon of Wednesday the 21st as well. When the moon is void, of course, right before it goes into Capricorn, it's going to trine Venus in Leo. I almost said Venus in Aries, but it's Venus in Leo, another fire sign. Very good for creativity and romance. and especially how these things are going to elevate the self. Then, of course, the moon entering Capricorn. The moon in Capricorn is then going to sextile Jupiter in Pisces. Sorry, my shoulder cracked. Which is retrograde at this time. That's going to be in the middle of the afternoon or evening. And this moon in Capricorn, there might be hidden resources that are available to you, and you might start to see how those things, you might start to see those things coming to light. They might be uncovered for you at this time. And especially with this sextile with Jupiter retrograde in Pisces, where you're going to be very intuitively strong and extrasensorily available to take advantage of certain opportunities. And then at the very end of Wednesday the 21st, so kind of also in the later evening hours, Venus is going to enter Virgo. Now, around 10:30 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, we will see the 22nd lunar mansion. And this is the beginning of Capricorn, moon in Capricorn, and that is an escape. That's good for escape from limitation, curing illness, healing enmity with others, and also an escape from captivity. So keep that in mind as well. If you are trying to keep something captive, it's possible that it could try and escape at this time and be successful. So just keep that in mind. So now let's talk about the 22nd of July, which is a Thursday. And on this particular day, the sun is going to be entering Leo. And that's going to happen around 7:30 in the morning on the West Coast, or 10:30 in the morning on the East Coast. We do have a couple of things happening before that. So, Venus has entered Virgo the previous evening, and in the morning, around 5:45 a.m. on the West Coast, 8:45 a.m. on the East Coast. So some of you will be awake for this. There's going to be an opposition between Venus, which is in Virgo, and then Jupiter, which is retrograde in Pisces. So Pisces can be very nebulous, very non-specific, and Virgo is a very literal sign, very detail-oriented. So as far as the oppositions go on the astrological wheel, this is one of the more diametrically opposed in many ways. Venus in Virgo, very fastidious about these aspects of romance and beauty, and also finance, good for finance, because it's very detail-oriented. So with this Jupiter in Pisces, anything is possible, everything is permitted, and there's a lot of expansion in that. So even though this is an opposition, there's a lot of potential there to increase your finances, increase your attractiveness, possibly, if that's something that you're working on at this time. The Virgo aspects might be made a bit neurotic by the lack of detail, which can occur with the Piscean energy. So just be aware of those things. A little bit later in the morning, Mars in Leo is going to be quincunx Pluto in Capricorn. So remember, Pluto in Capricorn is also retrograde. But this Mars in Leo energy is going to be like, I'm just going to fill out a bunch of job applications. I'm just going to put myself out there. I'm going to revamp my portfolio and send it to everyone I know. And especially as it relates to careers in the creative field, this is going to be a very powerful action here. And remember, Pluto in Capricorn is not necessarily bad, but it has created a lot of volatility in the job market. I've said that like a million times now. And then, of course, we have Sun entering the sign of Leo. So happy birthday to all of my fellow summer babies who are Leos. Leo's sun signs. Then a little bit after noon on the west coast. It's going to put it around 4 p.m. on the east coast. The moon in Capricorn is going to be square Chiron in Aries, which is retrograde at this time. This moon in Capricorn is very practical. It's all about these practical matters and having everything kind of fall into place, fall into line, and line up for you. When we interact with this Chiron in Aries energy, and especially because it's retrograde, you might be very desirous of a quick result, or you might have started an organizational process that is geared toward better usage of your space and time, because Capricorn is very similar to Virgo. Virgo is very organizational, but Capricorn is organizational toward the practical purpose of better utilization of resources, right? So this Chiron in Aries, maybe you find that you had started organizing things, but now something's lost and you can't find it. A little bit later in the afternoon and evening, the moon in Capricorn will then be trine fellow earth sign Uranus in Taurus. And this trine is going to be very harmonious for everyone as a collective with that Uranian energy. Finding better stability, finding better opportunities as well, and those things all coming to light. So it's going to be kind of in the middle of the afternoon and evening, so a lot of people will really be able to utilize that here in the United States. And then we will have an overnight energy. Let me talk about the lunar mansion first. So around 7:45 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, we're going to be going into the 23rd lunar mansion, which is kind of middle of Capricorn. And that has to do with divorce, freeing of captives, healing, separation, and reconciliation of opposing forces. So not that there is necessarily a treaty reached, but that there is enough separation that these two opposing forces are no longer interacting with each other. And then finally, our overnight energy. We're going to have the sun in Leo, quincunx Jupiter retrograde in Pisces. And that's going to be a great energy as far as if you are getting creative about your resources, getting creative about being creative in general, the arts. It's going to be good for romance, wealth. It's a very auspicious time to act. Now, this is going to be overnight, so 9:10 p.m. on the West Coast, and then a little after midnight on the East Coast. So now let's talk about Friday, July 23rd. This will be the day of the full moon, which is occurring in Aquarius. I already spoke about the overnight energy, which is Sun in Leo, quincunx, Jupiter retrograde in Pisces. Also, very early in the morning, there's going to be an opposition between the moon in Capricorn and Mercury in Cancer. And this Mercury in Cancer energy really has to do with conversations about people's emotional needs. Cancer is very focused on the emotional needs and not so much on the intuitive side of that. And because we have this moon in Capricorn where people are being very practically minded, perhaps a little sociopathic when it comes to utilization of resources, there's going to have to be some reconciliation there. Also kind of early in the morning, but a lot of you will be awake for this one. There's going to be a sextile between the moon in Capricorn and Neptune, which is retrograde in Pisces, right? So the moon and Neptune being two octaves of the same note, and then Capricorn and Pisces interacting in a way where we've got this nebulous, intuitive nature of Pisces and this utilization of resources Capricorn coming together to create new solutions and new ideas in the area of business. A little bit later in the morning, toward noon on the East Coast, the moon is going to go void, of course, in Capricorn, and there's going to be a conjunction between the moon and Pluto, which is retrograde. And this is going to kind of open up a lot of those possibilities, especially in conjunction with that previous sextile with Neptune. So this could be, we're also going into the 24th lunar mansion, and that's going to be around 5 o'clock, p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. But the 24th lunar mansion is excellent for multiplication of opportunities, good luck, and also fertile proliferation. So if you are trying to avoid getting pregnant, take extra caution during this time. And if you are looking forward to getting pregnant, this will be a great opportunity for you. And of course, fertility and proliferation can look like many different things. It's not just pregnancy, it's not just money, it's not just, it can also be happiness, it can be joy, it can be friendship, it can be all kinds of wonderful and exciting things that make life worth living. After this, in the middle of the day, there's going to be a quincunx between the moon in Capricorn and Mars in Leo. So that Mars in Leo is a good driving energy, a good creative driving energy that can create new opportunities for you in this moon in Capricorn energy that we're looking at. And then finally, the moon is going to go into Aquarius That's going to happen kind of in the evening hours. And then we'll get our true full moon around 7:30 p.m. on the west coast or 10:30 p.m. on the east coast. And that's going to be, of course, when the moon is in direct opposition to the sun. So that's Leo and Aquarius energies. And very good for creative spark, also very good for working with groups and novel concepts which have never been seen before or worked with before. It is in opposition, but on the astrological wheel, Leo energies and Aquarius energies are able to work together pretty well. So an opportunity there for sure. And then we do have an overnight energy. So that's going to be the moon in Aquarius, quincunx, Venus in Virgo. And remember that Venus in Virgo energy, very good for finance, very good for detail-oriented things, for health, for health within your love life also. And this quincunx with moon in Aquarius, it could be a good time to go out and meet new people, especially if you are single and looking for a new partner. But it can also be, remember, Venus in Virgo, very good for finances as well. So if you're looking for new business contacts, this could also be a good time to seek those out. And that will be an overnight energy around 9:30 p.m. on the west coast and around midnight on the east coast. So still well within respectable networking hours. All right, let's talk about Saturday, July 24th. Saturday, July 24th. I already spoke about the overnight energy, which is moon in Aquarius, quincunx, Venus in Virgo. The next energy we'll be looking at is Mercury in Cancer is going to be trine Neptune retrograde in Pisces. And trines, especially water trines, are very good for your emotional states. This is going to be a wonderful time to not only be able to discuss all of these emotional matters, but to do it with the benefit of your intuitive process that comes with Neptune retrograde in Pisces. You're going to be feeling very heavily intuitive at this time, and your own projections will not be as likely to shadow your interactions emotionally with other people. And that's going to be kind of in the middle of the morning, so probably most of you will be awake for this. There's going to be a conjunction between the moon and Saturn, which is retrograde, and those are both in Aquarius. So, that's in the middle of the day. Kind of right in the middle of the day. The moon being very introspective, being very hidden, kind of secretive and tucked away. Saturn in Aquarius, we've been discussing all of these things like rejection of the status quo, shifting of paradigms, also this depressive nature of Tristitia energy, if you're looking into the geomancy of astrology. And so when you have these energies kind of coming together It could be a little bit complicated for some of us, but will give us opportunities to open up new ideas, of course, with that Aquarian energy. Could be that brand new things come in at this time that we have not encountered before. And after this, so in the middle of the afternoon, there is going to be a sextile between the moon in Aquarius and Chiron, which is in Aries. So that will be very beneficial then with this Chiron in Aries retrograde energy, shedding any selfishness or any hesitancy to follow through that might be tied up with these antiquated paradigms that we are displacing. And then later in the evening, we have the moon in Aquarius square Uranus in Taurus. And that, again, is just going to help us shed some of these things that are preventing the larger groups in our societies from obtaining the comfort and stability that they require. That square is going to create tension, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just that these are things that need to be worked through. Around 2:36 in the afternoon, Greenwich Mean Time, we will be entering the 25th lunar mansion. So that is within the sign of Aquarius. It has to do with expansion, spreading forth, growth, and fruition. So we could see with this moon in Aquarius conjunct Saturn in Aquarius, there could be some expansive qualities to that. Saturn is known for being very closed in on itself, very slow moving and established. And if we are kind of circumventing some of those older systems, we could see very rapid growth, actually. So finally, we've made it to Sunday. Sunday. Sunday, July 25th. And I think sometime this week, I'm coming up on my soberversary. I don't remember. I think it was July 25th. And it could have been 2013, maybe. It's hard to remember. Anyway, so that means I've been sober for 8 years. It's hard to remember, though, because I don't really miss it and I don't really think about it that much anymore, you know? You know what I mean? Certainly no judgment to anybody who is at any stage of partaking. But we're going to start off kind of more toward the afternoon of the day with our placements. So around 12:34, around noon, Greenwich Mean Time, we're going to be entering the 26th lunar mansion. And that has to do with subtle attraction, benevolence, goodwill, and relationships. So very warm and cozy type of feeling. We're moving from the moon in Aquarius energy into the moon in Pisces energy at this time also. So we're also around noon on the west coast, and then around 3 p.m. on the east coast. And remember, so when I give the time for the lunar mansion, that's going to be Greenwich Mean Time, and I'm kind of filtering it in for now. I'll get it kind of properly placed as I get better with integrating it into these readings. So I'm giving that in the context of linear time, but think of it more as an overarching energy at this point. We're going to have a quincunx between the moon in Aquarius and Mercury in Cancer. And this is going to deal with the needs of the many outweighing the needs of the few, and communication about that, communication about people's emotions. Especially, we've got the moon involved, we've got Cancer involved, so that's going to have a lot to do with people's emotional states. We've got Aquarius involved, we've got communication. So Aquarius being like groups, social media, also novel ideas coming through. So a lot of potential there. And quincunx being driving to action. So you could see some kind of really wonderful news coming out of this. In the afternoon, there's going to be an opposition between Mercury in Cancer and Pluto, of course, retrograde in Capricorn. And so that very volatile career market energy, people are now communicating their needs, and not just, you talk about Abraham Maslow, one of my favorite guys, created the hierarchy of needs pyramid. So we're not just talking now about our baseline needs being met of food, water, shelter. Now we're going a little further up the pyramid and having communication with that Mercury and Cancer energy about the emotional needs that we need to have fulfilled by our careers. And there being some kind of, an opposition is going to create a lot of tension there. So something very important could come of that also. Later in the afternoon, the moon is void, of course, at this time, right before it goes into Pisces. And there's going to be an opposition between Moon and Aquarius and Mars in Leo. And that also is going to drive some kind of action. Mars in Leo is a very potent, creative energy, and it is a call to action. So Moon in Aquarius, some of these other scenarios we've been talking about, getting tied up in that and getting this final just push. So something very interesting could be happening on Sunday the 25th as a result of all of these planetary influences. That's not really, I kind of hate saying it that way because it's not like that. It's more like a predictor. The planets do certainly have their influences over us, but it's a very push and pull situation. So it's not completely like Mars is making me crazy, right? It's not necessarily the truth of the matter. It's much more subtle and intricate than that. So I just hope that my feeble use of the English language is able to partially convey that somehow to all of you. I say feeble because I feel like there are languages that do a much better job of capturing some of these concepts. Anyway, so then around 8:30 p.m. on the west coast and 11:30 p.m. on the east coast, the moon will be entering Pisces. And moon is very comfortable in Pisces. It's a very watery energy, and it really opens up that intuition. We're looking at kind of the energy of the moon card from the tarot deck. So walking that narrow path, things that are unclear coming to light, the path of Koph if you are involved in Kabbalistic path working, exercises, and meditations and lifestyle. And about an hour after the moon goes into Pisces, it is then going to conjunct Jupiter retrograde. So that's going to be very good for this expansive energy, and that's going to be later in the evening of Sunday the 25th, but still well within most people's working hours. So it would be 8:56 p.m. on the West Coast and 11:56 p.m. on the East Coast. So a lot of you will still be awake, still be more than capable of taking advantage of this really wonderful Piscean conjunction for expansion, meditativeness, and general absorbing the darkness type energy. Hello, Aries. Welcome back. Welcome back. So let's see for Aries, Sun, Moon, and Rising, and any other Aries placements that you might be curious about for the week ahead. See, somebody is hanging out laundry on a line to dry. This could be something that maybe you visited your grandparents and they would do this. Maybe you're doing this now. I'm seeing the person doing this not doing it so much as a chore, but as a leisure activity. So you might be involved in cottagecore or something like that, to where you're taking part in these pastoral pastimes as part of a kind of homage, a tribute, if you will, to a simpler way of life. And it is a simpler way of life. It is much more labor-intensive way of life. And a lot of us have problems with our energy levels. And I don't understand how people did it back in the day, that they would just hang their laundry out on the line. But you're really enjoying the sunshine and being out there in the warmth. So it could be that you are taking part in something. Maybe it's strawberry picking. It could be gardening. It could be any number of things like this that you, in your current life, are able to participate in as a leisure activity, but which in the past was an essential chore of everyday life. And it's bringing you fulfillment. There's so much about our everyday tasks that are no longer fulfilling. In the past, when you were participating in hard work like this, it was physically exhausting. And when you were done, there was a very clear reward. And in our modern age, where we work in offices, or we work on these projects for corporations, and you're only involved in one very small part of that process, it's much less fulfilling because you don't get to see everything from beginning to end. So taking part in something like this can help you alleviate the stress of uncertainty which is associated with that kind of lifestyle. All right, Aries, let's move on to the bibliomancy. Remember to direct your questions right into here. I'll collect them from you. Oh, that's a good question, yeah. Okay. Let no petty bickerings disturb the felicity of the married state. So that could be in a marriage, but it also extends to other aspects of your life, whether that is your office or your friendships or your relationships with family members. Aries, thank you so much for joining me today. I always greatly enjoy our time together. If you got something out of this reading, please let me know down in the comments. And I look forward to seeing you again very soon. Hello, Taurus. Hello, 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 hello. This is for Taurus, Sun, Moon, Rising, and any other Taurus placement you might be curious about for the week ahead. So Taurus, I think there is a better path. I don't know if this is a route you take to work, or if this is a cut-through type path that you take on your walks when you're walking, or if you are traveling somewhere frequently and you go the same way every time. I think there's a better path for getting there. That what makes it different? Safer. It's less traveled but also safer. So that I know with footpaths, you don't want to take a path that is too secluded because it might not be safe. Like that Robert Frost poem, I took the road less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. It's something like that, where perhaps the most direct route is very crowded, but you end up spending the same amount of time traveling because the main route, which is more direct, is more crowded and there's more traffic. This is going to free up a lot of time in your morning. Because when you're sitting in traffic, you have to have like 100% focus all the time. And I'm not saying that when you're driving that your focus should ever dip below 100%. But you can be focused 100% on the road and still drink coffee and maybe not read the morning news, but listen to the radio, listen to news stories on the radio. I would say listen to news stories on YouTube, but I don't want to encourage people to watch YouTube videos while they're driving. But I think you understand what I'm saying. That there's a meditativeness to taking a less crowded route also. All right, Taurus, if you would, please direct your questions here into the cover of this book. I'm just collecting your questions. Okay. In another country, fortune will shower her favors on thee. So perhaps consider traveling or changing locale. This could even be tweaked a bit to imply that there are easier ways to get where you're going than the path you are currently on. Taurus, thank you so much for joining me. If you enjoyed this reading, please let me know down in the comments. And I look forward to seeing you again very soon. Hello, Gemini. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. This is for Gemini, Sun, Moon, Rising, and any other Gemini placements you might be curious about over the week ahead. I'm hearing fortunes, that you might be about to come into great fortune. The circumstance is smiling upon you. In that, you will no longer need to go about things the way that you have. Writing, some of you could be writers, but I see you like writing your success. Some of you might be doing vision board work specifically, or bullet journaling as a form of praxis or something like that, to where you're writing out your goals. But if you're a writer, you could also be writing your way to success. Angel visions. Some of you could be having like prophetic dreams or visions right now, and those are divinely guided. But they can be very scary. I think some of you have been scared by it and think that it's coming from a bad or a dark place or an evil place, and it's not. It's divinely guided. A lot of you are coming into this success now because of the work that you've put in. I'm hearing that Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young song, Carry On. It's on Deja Vu, which is actually a really good album, if you like that sort of thing. But it's very much about how time progresses and that things end up coming around for us through time, more so than any other factor. That just the progression of time and the nature of that change affects so many other changes. Yeah, I think there will be a lot of blessing for you this week, Gemini. And if you would, please direct your questions here into the cover this book. Oh yeah, that's a good one. All right. When thy misfortunes press hardest on thee, be not dismayed, but endeavor to remove them. Gemini, thank you so much for joining me. If you enjoyed this reading, please let me know down in the comments. And I look forward to seeing you again very soon. Hello, Cancer. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. So, we're reaching the end of Cancer season, but for those of you who are late placement Cancer and early Leo, I would like to wish you a happy solar return. I hope every year forward is better than the last. This is for Cancer Sun, Moon, Rising, and any other Cancerian placements you might be curious about for the week ahead. The color purple, not necessarily the movie, I'm just seeing and it's not just from my lights back here, but because sometimes I'll see the words also. Purple was a very regal color. It was a very labor and time intensive dyeing process. And they obtained the color from these tiny little mollusks, which smell absolutely rancid, of course, once they are deceased. And so this dyeing process was very labor intensive. It was very smelly and very time intensive. So of course the color purple was associated with royalty because of the amount of work that would have to go into creating that color. I also understand that when they talk about the wine dark sea, that it's possible at the time there was an overgrowth of microscopic sea creatures, or very small sea creatures that were causing the sea to look purple instead of blue. So there are some theories behind why the word there isn't really a word for blue in ancient Greek texts for a long time. Because of course we had lapis, so that's blue. It's definitely blue, and turquoise is blue. But we're not talking about blue, we're talking about purple. There's porphyria, which is a disease of the blood, and has to do with how your blood is able to carry oxygen. There are other side effects to porphyria as well. But in relation to you Cancerians, we're talking about this color as a means of completion. So we've made it all the way through the color spectrum, all the way from the infrareds up into the purple, and now you're getting ready to cross over into the ultraviolet spectrum, the black light spectrum. And you're wondering about the visible world in terms of tangential experiences, because of course you think about visible light in the spectrum, the visible light spectrum. And we think about these things as being linear like this, but it's kind of also, you know, stacked on top of each other. So the wavelengths, you know, are linear like this. But there's also a aspect of them in which they are moving like this. And what is important about that is that the feature of that wavelength, sometimes you can create distortions in there. Sometimes you can create anything with wavelength, whether it's sound or light. You can create distortions, patterns, blips, all of these different artifacts that then make the world around us really interesting. Filters, color, shape, design. And when you move beyond these things, beyond visual media, into a different kind of perception, you are opening up to yourself a new realm for creative experience and expression. So we're not just talking about sound here, we're also talking about perceptions of sight that go beyond, excuse my stomach, perceptions of sight that go beyond the light of the visible spectrum. So things that simultaneously are and are not. And purple is a good example of that, in that like these lights are black light bulbs. It doesn't totally show up on camera because of course I have a lot of other light directly upon me, but I like having them back there. They look purple, but they are also exciting ultraviolet wavelengths. Fluorescent microscopy, I used to do a certain amount of that. And they are not actually these colors, but they fluoresce at different wavelengths. And so you're hitting this thing with fluorescent light at this certain wavelength, and it's excited, and you can take a picture of it in black and white and then add color to make it look like a full picture. And that's kind of, I feel like that's kind of like the step that you're going to be taking moving forward, that rather than purely working in the visible spectrum, you're going to be starting to push that out into like ultraviolet range, possibly into the infrared range, down at the other end of the spectrum, and taking your perceptions of visible media further. All right, Cancer, if you would, please direct your questions here into this book, and I'll just be collecting those for you. This one down here. Yeah. All right, let's see. Do as thou wouldest be done by, and thou wilt save much time and money. So basically, do unto others, or do as thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. One of those truisms. Thank you for joining me, Cancer. If you enjoyed this reading, please let me know down in the comments, and I look forward to seeing you again very, soon. Hello, Leo. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. So, we're heading into Leo season this week. So, for those of you who have a Leo solar return coming up, I would like to wish you happy birthday. This is going to be for Leo, Sun, Moon, Rising, and any other Leo placements you are curious about for the week ahead. People find you very enticing right now, more so than usual. Leos are usually very enticing, but at this time, people are intrigued by you. It's not even, on the purest level. I think a lot of us have a tendency to respond in our carnal self, so that when we see someone who is beautiful, we sexually desire them. But there is so much more to attraction than that. You can be attracted to people that you definitely are not interested in carnally, and that there are types of attraction where you wish to absorb parts of another person into yourself, whether that be through friendship, enmity, desirous of other. But in particular, this week, Leo, you are finding forms of friendship that previously were not available to you for whatever reason. Not just meeting new people, but maybe when you've had friendships before, there's always been this kind of casual aspect to the, oh, well, we can hang out whenever, we just chill and do stuff. And you might be coming into friendships now that are deeply rewarding for you financially. And that's the thing that's coming through very strongly. But obviously, we don't go into friendships because we want to be rich, right? But that you are going to be working on things with your friends that you haven't done before. And part of that is going to be that you're so attractive to people during this time. There are going to be things about you that make you incredibly attractive to people. And it's not just physical appearance. It goes into the way you carry yourself. It goes into the way that you not just are putting yourself out there, the way that you dress, the way that you put together sentences, which I seem to be having trouble doing right now. Your thought patterns. It's almost like your brain waves are what is attracting other people to you. That's something about the way that you have your brain dialed in right now is just ultra attractive to other people. And by merit of the way you are attracting these people to you, I feel like it is not rooted in manipulation or self-service also, which Leos, I think, are often unfairly accused of. So let's look into the bibliomancy. Leo, direct your questions, if you would, for me, here into the cover of this book. Yeah, that's a good one. Oh, very good. Yeah. Great. So, this fortune is the silver and the gold which hath been buried in the earth will forever be hidden from thy view. Focus not on the tangible aspects of success. Focus more on the things about success which are not rooted in materialism. So one thing that it's very important to keep in mind is that you can't take it with you. And that gets thrown around a lot. But the truth of the matter is that material success in this world does not predicate your value as a human being or as an entity overall. That the things about you which make you the most valuable are often the most financially devalued. Now, that doesn't mean that you won't find financial success, and that's not even what I think they're trying to say with this fortune. I think what they're saying is that all of these things that you think of when you look at success are blinding you to your true destiny. Leo, thank you so much for joining me. If you enjoyed this reading, please let me know down in the comments. And I look forward to seeing you again very soon. Hello, Virgo. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Virgo, this reading will be for Sun, Moon, Rising, and any other Virgo placements that you are curious about for the week ahead. When my stomach made that noise just now, it reminded me of a thunderstorm. It's been very humid here in LA, actually. It's usually very dry, very, very dry. And actually, I had gone back to the East Coast, to Atlanta, which is notoriously humid, and they were having a little less humidity than usual. And of course, we've been having all of these crazy weather patterns up in the north that are causing intense and catastrophic heat waves, and my heart really goes out to those people who are having to deal with that right now, because if you are not prepared for the heat, it can be so devastating. But for you, Virgo, there's a fertility to the rain, and there is a gravidness to thunderstorm clouds. Before they dump their rain, they're very thick and full and dark, and little bits of lightning are shooting around up in the clouds. And sometimes thunderstorm clouds and tornado clouds can look very similar also. So there's, I'm sensing really a fertility for you this week, and that can express itself in many different ways. So it doesn't have to be pregnancy, but if you are not trying to get pregnant, I would advise you to be very careful on a week like this one, because fertility can express itself in so many different ways, and it's very difficult to pick and choose. So the fertility of rain it waters the crops, but it can also water mold spores, which are not as desirable. It can cause rot and mildew. And those things are not desirable. I think you have gotten a little bit of extra money or resources coming into you. And resources can look all kinds of ways. Like, I just traded in my old car for a new one. And so my resources shifted a little bit, but I also feel like my resources have increased because I have brought in this vehicle that is going to work better than the vehicle I had before. And that the water itself is such a... we don't think of it as being finite, but it is finite. And there's only so much water on the earth. All of the resources that we have here are finite. Water is a very abundant resource, but at the same time very tightly controlled and finite, and there's a lot of scarcity surrounding water. And so for you this week, Virgo, there are going to be resources that you find yourself in control of, which are finite, abundant, and also tightly controlled. Is there anything else that I need to tell Virgo about the week ahead? Give your... I'm seeing somebody be like an older male relative or possibly a boss, but not likely a boss. This is somebody that there's a very like paternal energy around them. So it would be somebody who also has nurtured and fostered you. It could be somebody who's a mentor. And there could even be some things about the relationship that are inappropriately intimate, but that doesn't necessarily have to be the case. This is somebody who's fostered you and is a very paternal figure in your life, and it's time for you to give them something, not back. You're going to be giving them something. And it's not like a present. It's like returning some resources, but like the way that the resources are flowing to this person, it's like flowing uphill. And it's not... it's not like you're giving them this back. It's like I'm giving this to you for some reason. I'm hearing like tithes or something. So it's going to be similar to giving alms or tithes or like a tax to this person. Yeah. There might be the opportunity for you to do that this week. All right, Virgo, if you would, please direct your questions here into the cover of the book. Grab this question and this question down here. This question. That's a good question. Wonderful. Let's see what's in store for you this week. The prisoner's release is uncertain. Let some kinsman interest him in his behalf. So it could be that this older male relative or mentor, that you are intervening with them on someone else's behalf also. That's a possibility. Virgo, thank you so much for joining me. If you enjoyed this reading, please let me know down in the comments. And I look forward to seeing you again very soon. Hi Libra, welcome back. Welcome back, welcome back. This is going to be for Libra, Sun, Moon, Rising, and any other placements that you are curious about for the week ahead. Libra, I see you drawing back the bow. This could be drawing back a bough also, like when you're walking through the woods and you're pulling the branches out of your face, pulling them aside. That's kind of how I see it, more so than pulling back the string on a bow, drawing back the bow. Kind of like with the bow of a ship also, that you're backing up this boat. So there could have been a situation where you were moving, or you were supposed to move, or you were supposed to leave a job or something, and you pulled the ripcord and you decided not to do it. That could be the case. There's a lot of hesitation and not a lot of clear forward direction. It seems like there's more like kind of like a backward movement. Now, sorry, hold on a second. There we go. Turn on some more light. Not that backtracking isn't always bad. I don't think that this is happening because you didn't plan properly or adequately. I think this is happening because of certain other circumstances which could not have been foreseen. So your backtracking in this case is not a weakness on your part by any means. This is a moment for you to regroup and grow stronger. And you will be doing that. People have given you the go-ahead, so everybody's given you the green light in this situation. But there have been circumstances that have intervened. So I just want to make that clear, that it's not that any one person in particular has prevented you from fulfilling the goals that you are now taking steps away from. And it's not a permanent backtracking either. This is a very temporary setback. And because now you're going to come back, you're going to reconfigure, and you're going to press forward stronger than before. All right, Libra, if you would, please direct any and all of your questions here into the cover of this book. Let's see, here's one. Here's a question. There's a question. Yes, lovely, lovely questions, Libra. And let's see what we have here. So I'm going to give you a question instead. Shall I be Shall I live to travel far by sea or land, or to reside in foreign climes? I think that's the answer, the question that you're asking right now. And rather than use the book for this, I'm going to use the pendulum. My name is Verge. I am living in the Arctic Circle. Will Libra live to travel and by sea or by land and see foreign climes, like climates. Climes is short for climates. So I'm getting a faint yes. Is this going to be happening by the end of the year? I'm getting a strong yes. So thank you. Thank you. There are going to be things coming through for you by the end of the year. But the thing about it is that I think this restructuring period has to come first. And so that a lot of these situations that are going to lead you to the place where you can go and travel is very removed from the place you are now. And that's why we were getting a weak yes for the travel, but a strong yes for travel by the end of the year. Things might look very, very different for you, Libra, by the time you're able to do that. All right, Libra. Well, thank you for joining me. If you enjoyed this reading, please let me know down in the comments. You guys have been really nice to me lately, and I really appreciate it. Well, some of you are always nice, and then every once in a while we get somebody who comes in and says something rude. But for the most part, everybody's very nice, and I appreciate that. Libra, I look forward to seeing you again very soon. Hello, Scorpio. Welcome back. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. This is going to be for Scorpio Sun, Moon, Rising, and any other Scorpio placements you are curious about for the week ahead. Scorpio. It's like I've been given a lot of information, but it's all tucked inside a manila envelope, like a folder. That maybe it's possible that it's not as important for me to convey to you directly what is going to be happening as it is for me to convey to you that on the 19th of July, the 19th of the month. What is that? So Monday, when the moon is in Scorpio, is when you will be receiving this download, possibly. There is going to be a trine between the moon in Scorpio and Neptune in Pisces, and that's going to be like 2:30 in the morning on the west coast and 5:30 in the morning on the east coast. So that is a time that would be really ripe for a download. You can also go back and watch the ephemera at the beginning of the video to find out more about what's going on July 19th. That's kind of the impression that I'm getting. And it may not all come out on the one day. It might be over the course of the week. It's going to be different for all of you. Rushing in. Things are going to be rushing into you. It's possible that you're rushing into something and not really thinking it through, but I don't think that's the case. I think what is going on here is that you've set yourself up for a certain reward. I don't like to use the word deserve. I think deserve is a really misleading term, and it's not really valid in the context of everything overall. Because there are things that you could, just because you deserve ice cream, doesn't mean that it's a good idea for you to eat ice cream, right? So that's a situation, just to give you context. And then there's other things like deserving, what do you really deserve, and what is it that actually is going to be the best for everyone involved, right? So it's not as much about deserving, but I feel like, yes, you're going to be getting like all these packets of information for one, but also I really think that the flow of resources and things that you will be able to use will be flowing in to you at this time, that there's going to be a lot of that at this time. Scorpio, what else do I need to tell you for the week ahead? Because I feel like it's kind of a cop-out to just be like, oh, you're going to have a prophetic dream about it on Monday, July 29th. The 29th or the 19th? It could be the 29th. That could be when the information comes into. Anytime in that span, probably. But that's kind of a cop-out for me as a diviner to say that to you. That's not, you could have your own prophetic dream anytime you want. I think in this particular case, it might be like an epiphany or just a reorganizing for mental clarity that ends up bringing you a better understanding. But I really like all these little packets coming into you. And it's like in these, like the folders, the big folders, but then also that when you pull things out of the folder, they are subcategorized inside the folder so that everything is really compartmentalized down to pretty, but inside the folder, these reports are kind of wrapped up in like a tissue paper, like layers of green tissue paper, that you would unwrap like a present. They're just taped. They're not like wrapped with string or anything. But it's very interesting that I'm seeing these things being given to you in this way. And it's in an office setting. So, excuse me. Good heavens. I seem to be having some kind of internal disturbance. But yeah, some kind of, maybe even like a doctor's office. And you could be getting like medical reports, and some of it's confidential, so they had to like obscure it somehow. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what that represents, but I do get a strong impression that this could be something that you are dealing with at a doctor's office, so possibly surgery related or having to do with your insurance. But it seems like a good thing, so it could be a surgery that you've been waiting a long time to have, and you want to have this surgery. So it could be a cosmetic procedure, but that doesn't necessarily have to be the case. It could be oral surgery too. And they could be making a determination on that this week. But of course, I'm not a doctor, so I'm approaching this merely from the place of a scryer who is providing this information for entertainment purposes, and if it resonates with you, then I'm happy to have obliged, but I'm certainly not doling out medical advice. And if it is not about surgery, it could be some other kind of determination like that. For some of you, it's going to be a psychic download, a series of psychic downloads over the next 10 days or whatever. For some of you, it's going to be related to surgery and possibly your insurance. And for some of you, this is just going to represent different assets coming into your life. Like maybe you buy a house and then you buy a car, or you get a job and then you buy a car, or like so that you're kind of like building on this. All right, Scorpio, if you would please direct your questions here into the cover of this book. Oh yeah, I like that one. Yeah, I'm interested to know the answer. Okay, that's enough questions for now. Yeah, we'll get your question next time, I promise. Long life depends greatly on temperance. Scorpio, thank you so much for joining me today. If you enjoyed this reading, please let me know down in the comments. And I look forward to seeing you again very soon. Hello, Sagittarius. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. This is for Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, Rising, and any Sagittarius placements you are curious about for the week ahead. Astral visions. So, Sagittarius, some of you will be, it's not quite like second sight, so this is different. Second sight implies that you are seeing the future. This is not exactly like that. Sometimes, and I really don't want to trigger anybody who suffers from psychosis or hallucinations. This is separate from that. So if you feel like you might be having a psychotic break, or you feel like you might be experiencing hallucinations, I encourage you to seek the help of a mental health care professional. However, there are times when you can see like a gap. Sometimes it's like that. Sometimes they're just like very shadowy outlines. I see these things quite a bit. So it's possible that a lot of you Sagittarius also see these kinds of things. And I'll try to describe it so that you understand how it's different from mental illness hallucinations. It's very like vague, shadowy outlines. You can see color, but you also understand that it is separate from the tangible physical world. So that would be like astral visions. For example, I have seen on the ceiling in a room like a great rainbow serpent curled up. Sometimes you'll see like a gap. I'll see like a gap and I'll see like gears turning, and I'll understand that that is about the cosmic machinery that keeps everyone's spirits flowing through the current reality that we all share. There's this current reality, and then the machine also controls like a lot of other realities also. And sometimes on the astral plane you can see a little gap, and you'll get to see like into that world, into like another dimension, and it's slightly different. It's not like I have seen people disappear right before my eyes, and it's not like that. It's not like something that you could mistake for being a real tangible item. It's not like a hallucination like that. It's just these little glimpses into the astral plane. Now, of course, if you're in a dream state or you are astral projecting, that's going to be different also. That's going to be you going into that realm and therefore seeing these things as being much more concrete. Much more concrete. So it's a little bit different. And sometimes I'll see, like, a lot of people will see spirits as like shadow figures. I think the term shadow figure gets thrown around a lot. But I actually see them as being these very vivid, like fluorescent, cartoonish beasts that are kind of much more difficult to describe. Like if you say shadow figure, I think a lot of people know what you're talking about. And that is a glimpse into the astral vision also. Anyway, so I digress a lot, Sagittarius. But I think that you could be experiencing something like that this week. That you're getting these little glimpses into these alternate realms. And I hesitate to say alternate realities because even what we're living right here, a lot of it is largely projection and not reality anyway. But I also don't want to say that. And then if you are somebody who genuinely deals with psychosis and hallucinations, that is separate. And I don't want you to hesitate to get help with that just because you feel like you might be seeing astral visions. Because I'm not a healthcare professional. I am a spiritualist, so I'm not giving you health advice. And this could have some bearing on your life in some way, but sometimes it's just like watching television, that it's possible for these two worlds to interact with each other, and it is possible that somebody could be spying on you or something like that. But a lot of the time too, it would be like if you turned on the news, or if you were watching a rerun of Gunsmoke or something like that. So be aware that you might be extra attuned to astral visions this week. All right, Sagittarius. Now, if you would, please direct your questions here. Excuse me. Direct your questions here into the cover of this book. Oh, that's a good one. Yeah. I like these questions. Yeah, there have been some really good ones. Okay. Venture not far from home. So, I don't know how many of you might have a trip planned for the next week, but it might not be the right time to take it. If you do have a trip planned, just be very careful. I wouldn't say cancel it, but maybe you were planning to stay inside anyway, and maybe you've been feeling guilty about not getting out more. So this is a message to you that it's okay to stay at home. Sagittarius, thank you so much for joining me today. If you enjoyed this reading, please let me know down in the comments. You guys have really been so nice to me in the comments, and I really appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing you again very soon. Hello, Capricorn. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Capricorn, Sun, Moon, Rising, and any other Capricorn placements that you are curious about for the week ahead. Divine bastion of influence. So, this might not be you, but it might be somebody that you're very close to, who is considered a divine bastion of influence. Not the guy from Neverending Story. No, this would be somebody who maybe from whom you seek guidance. This could be somebody who is a good influence over you as well. I don't really see it like you being the divine bastion of influence, but perhaps this person comes to you for guidance and then is able to disseminate guidance effectively to others. Maybe that's what they do. Maybe they are like an influencer, or, well, probably not like an influencer, or like a life coach or something. But somebody maybe in the clergy. Not everybody in the clergy is the worst. It's very, I don't know if you can tell, but I have personal biases against people who seek moral authority over others. I try to stay away from that on my channel. This could be somebody who is has a tarot channel. Could be somebody who does provide spiritual guidance to others. Divine bastion of influence. And it's certainly not my place to judge that person either. But I do feel like this person is very divinely intended, and that their work is, well, I mean, yeah, like a light worker, obviously, but somebody whose work is not tainted by as much of the baser nature of humanity. So if this person is a spiritual leader in some way. They're probably not also embroiled in sex scandals or something like that. Maybe they are. Maybe that doesn't affect their ability to be divinely guided. Anyway, this person is coming to you for advice, and it might kind of catch you off guard. It's possible you've known each other a long time, and this person often comes to you for advice, but it's also possible that you've known this person for a long time, and out of the blue, they approach you and they ask you for help with something, maybe a moral dilemma. You know more about this than I do. I deal mostly in light, and I don't have to deal with these darker situations. I have a hard time believing that, though. Everybody has to deal with these things from time to time. So it could just be that they've never been tested. They're that blessed that they don't get tested the way that a lot of others do. So that's a possibility for this week ahead, Capricorn, and I think they're coming to you for a good reason, and that you'll be able to help them out. All right, Capricorn, if you would, please direct your questions here into the cover of this book. Yes, lovely. Oh, that's a good question, yeah. And I'll take one more. Great. No, you didn't tell me that. The hand of thy beloved will ultimately reward thy affection. So, if you keep putting nice points in, eventually a relationship will fall out, is kind of what that seems like it's saying, right? But it's really more like the amount of positive effort and positive energy that you invest in other people will be returned to you. Capricorn, thank you so much for joining me. If you enjoyed this reading, please let me know down in the comments. I really love to hear from you guys. And I look forward to seeing you again very soon. Hello, Aquarius. Welcome back. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. This is for Aquarius Sun, Moon, Rising, and any other Aquarius placements that you are curious about for the week ahead. There's like driving. Not always at night, sometimes in the morning. I see a lot of like rural areas, kind of in the desert actually. Kind of like that stretch of road between West Texas and Arizona. So that there's a lot of brush. It's not as flat desert as Arizona. There's definitely brush and some hilly features. And I know parts of Arizona are hillier. So, just that part of the Southwest. But the more like rugged parts, the more mountainous parts, not like the flat desert. If that makes sense. Dry. I feel a breeze. And of course, very hot during the day and can get very cold at night. And I feel like the reason you are doing all this driving to persist, your persistence, What does this have to do with? Is this for work? Is this like to see family? Is this like... I'm hearing something about like adjusting your attitude about things. Not as harsh as like you need an attitude adjustment, but more like you're doing this almost as a meditative practice. So it could be, I'm getting very vividly the sense of driving, but it could be any kind of persistent effort like that, where either you're driving, it could be a form of labor, like working in a garden or construction, although I'm seeing that it's not really something that is paying off for you financially. And in fact, there are a lot of ways in which all of that driving can cost quite a bit of money. So that's possible too. Yeah, so it's some kind of practice which you are not performing for money, that you're not gaining financially. This is more something you are doing as a form of training, as a form of getting yourself out there. And it's possible that some of you, because of the pandemic, chose to hit the road. That is a possibility, that some of you chose to go out and do that in order to kind of alleviate that cabin fever and that feeling like everything is the same all the time. Or that now that the pandemic has, well, the pandemic's not over, but now that a lot of people have opened back up again, that you decided to go out on a road trip, but that the exercise of the road trip was the important function more so than the destination. So I'm seeing a lot of things like that for you over the coming week, Aquarius. Now, what is it that you are hoping to, or no, I guess we know what you're hoping to achieve, this persistence. What is going to be the end function? Not the end goal, but the end function. What is going to end up coming of this? You might just completely transport yourself someplace else. I know that's happened to me before. And you might just wake up in a hotel somewhere and realize I'm moving to Oregon or something like that. I think that you are energetically gearing up for a big movement. All right, Aquarius, if you would, please direct all your questions here into the cover of this book. Here's one. Here's another one. That's a good question. There's one up here. Yeah, that's a very satisfying question, certainly. Even just asking a question like that, you don't really even need an answer. It's just satisfying to ask it. It's not as unresolved as other questions. Thy nightly visions portend good fortune to thee. So some of you might have Aquarius and Scorpio placements. That was something that came up in the Scorpio reading. I also want to point out that on July 19th, the moon will be in Scorpio. So that is a good time to get nightly visions. We do have a lot of placements set up. Neptune is retrograde in Pisces, and so is Jupiter at this time. So that's good for psychic expansion. All right, Aquarius. Thank you so much for joining me. If you got something out of this reading and you enjoyed it, please let me know down in the comments. And I look forward to seeing you again very soon. Hello, Pisces. Welcome back. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. This is Pisces Sun, Moon, Rising, and any other Pisces placements that you might be curious about over the week ahead. Some of you really like clowns. So I'm seeing like pictures of clowns. I'm seeing clown statuettes. And I think that evil clowns have been very in vogue for a while. But these are not evil clowns. These are nice clowns. These are like joyful, happy, cute, very tame, kind of like childlike, but also I'm getting this overwhelming. It's not nostalgia. It's an overwhelming feeling of just this soft, comforting, safe energy. Safe, but they're safe clowns. Which is a very interesting concept, safe clowns. Not necessarily that clowns are ever totally trustworthy, but these are very like energetically safe clowns. And like I said, little statuettes, little pictures, very rounded edges. And the idea behind these clowns, Pisces, is repair, healing, but also the idea that there is, for me, I feel overwhelmingly that this is a very safe energy. But for some people, the very idea of a clown is terrifying. Some people are terrified of clowns. It has a lot to do with the heavy makeup, and the idea that the clown was a character that was created from people who were excessive drinkers or possibly mentally ill. So the foundations of the idea of clowns is rooted in this, kind of like looking at these less than desirable parts of human nature. So that can be triggering for some people. I don't know if it's triggering for you in particular, Pisces, but definitely has the potential to be. And it could be something like that. It could be meeting somebody's pet alligator. It could be, snakes are very triggering for some people too, but some people keep them as pets. I would even go like a step further. And I don't want to dwell too much on trauma core because that's its own thing, and it's people engage in it for healing reasons, and I want to be compassionate of their, why they're engaging in trauma core. But you might look at an image like that and it looks very benign. And then for someone else, there could be a lot of really deep meaning within that imagery that brings up a lot of their own issues and things from their past. So there might be something like that comes up this week for you, Pisces. That something which you think is perfectly fine and safe has the potential to be incredibly triggering for someone else, or vice versa. And just being able to mitigate that. That's what that Mercury in Cancer energy is going to be good for. All right, Pisces, if you would, please direct all your questions here into this book. I'll take them. Thank you. Yeah, that's a good question. Oh, this is a good one too. Yeah, I'll take this one up here. I'm going to put this one inside. Okay. And this one. And one more. Wonderful. Let's see. What are we looking at here, Pisces? To bear and forbear is the grand secret of matrimonial happiness. So, when you're looking at your relationships with other people, you try to give them the benefit of the doubt, and then you also have there's a creativeness there, there's fruitfulness, there's productivity. Not that every moment you spend with a friend has to be taking part in some activity, but the friends you have where you're just sitting there and mindlessly watching things on TV and not really interacting with each other, your friends are going to give you food for thought, I guess is what I'm saying. And that's true for all relationships, whether it's a marriage or a business partnership or a friendship. Thank you so much for joining me, Pisces. If you liked this reading, please let me know down in the comments. I love hearing from you guys. And I look forward to seeing you again very soon.